He walks about, ever in anticipation of an attack, all along in the inexact assurance of punctual recovery. When restoration appears to present a possibility, he is undercut and then suddenly reestablished again. It is not known how much time he has. No question of a cure, though there are reprieves, sudden and exhausting. While the introduction of epilepsy brings definition to the parameters of idiocy and infirmity with which Dostoevsky is working, such a medicalization of idiocy does not clear away the questions which he persistently raises. In fact, epilepsy itself, what Shakespeare and Julius Caesar called falling sickness, brings one big question mark to the table of any speculative diagnosis or diagnostics. An enigmatic condition, the only illness to have its own mythological figure, epilepsy may provide the urphenomen of all subsequent forms of madness and visionary excess. Hercules, the herald of epilepsy, has mutated and manifested historically in the Buddha, Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, Napoleon, Lord Byron, Pascal, Van Gogh, among others. Maybe you know other world-renowned epileptics. By the way, for an outstanding analysis of epilepsy and temporality, you might see the work of the Japanese thinker Kimura Bin, who wrote a book on phenomenological psychopathology, which he bases on Binswanger's Daseinsanalyse, existential analysis. And Bin focuses on the ethical constitution of the afflicted. You might also want to look at Freud on masochism and Dostoevsky. We're getting there. Are you okay? Do you need to breathe or do exercise or something? It's kind of hot. Yeah, it's kind of hot.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm talking about the body and its fragility, and you're such docile bodies. You could have lurched and demanded and, you know. Let's return to our bodies now. The idiot body, presented as eccentric and awkward, convulsive and worn, in some instances as a battered body, is particularly susceptible to attack. It is not always clear where the attack comes from, for it is hard to locate the force that hits him. It can come from above, from inside, from the alter ego and spiritual brother, Rogozin, from the weather or the unconscious, or even more precisely, from the drive that is neither from the conscious nor the unconscious. A lot of post-Freudians and Freudians forget the drive. Attacks of the sort he suffers, bouts of illness, Dostoevsky does not make it easy to divide up the territory of illness. Is it a continuity folded back by occasional recession? Or is it closer to a punctuality, a return, an interference or interruption of another state? So bouts of illness aggravate the problem of presenting the body, the weight of the unpresentable at all. The sick body presses the issue of this impossible presentation to the fore. It is not merely mired in passivity, though each day it awaits its fate, wondering if a vague spell of dizziness does not portend the beginning of another episode, the event of another destruction. The difficulty lies in predicting the daily histories of a sick body, the varying intensities of its constitution. The day of the ill is divided into about 4 parts, I'd say. The afternoon fever, the evening reprieve, nocturnal sweats. This changes with different types of illness, the signified, I mean. But the day divides up in much the same way no matter what you've got, and the liver works the late night shift, rousing you at 2 or 3 in the morning, no matter who you are. In the life of the sick, the primary relationship is to this alternate being, at once indwelling and eventuating from without. When the idiot says he cannot marry, this is because he is bound by another contract to his illness, whose distinct personality he serves. By nature imperious, illness demands devoted appeasement, understanding, the endless manipulation of care. Point 03, the forbidden body. Despite the pressure it exerts on reading minutely the signs or symptoms which accrue to the sick body, the labor of understanding abandons all semiology or phenomenology. It encounters a limit, mute and stupid, that cannot be grasped even in terms of a negative knowledge. Without knowing, the body is not as such ignorant either. A literality that is no longer legible, this body at once withholds itself and produces resistant signs of itself. Perhaps this offers one reason why literature, which delights in radically ambiguous conjunctions, always points to the incorporation of such a body. If the body of the king is the thing, purloined or missing in action, the prince's body drags along in need of treatment. And it is no wonder that literature treats this body where philosophy might sack it with the rest of the provisional hostages of the concept. As J.L. Nancy says, literature has always tried to produce the body which philosophy suppresses. In fact, this relation enacts an allegory of their link, for one could say, he says, that literature and philosophy have never stopped wanting to relate to and or oppose one another as body to soul or spirit. Moreover, one is tempted to say that if there has never been any body in philosophy other than the signifier and signified, in literature, on the contrary, there is nothing but bodies. Nancy provisionally divides the body according to a discursive custody suit of sorts, where literature gets to carry bodies to house and form them. Still, we can't just go around thinking that these are easily reclaimable or anchored in reference. Nor can we think that we can ignore the body the way people commonly step over the homeless bodies on their streets. One could venture, though, that the sick body, in a kind of frenzied state of belated compensatory awakening, demands a reading, or at least occasions interpretive and diagnostic strategies which often culminate in an excess of discourse. This excess itself, an attempt to construct knowledge around the symptomalizing body, opens up the space of necessary obscurity by which our bodies come to us. I quote Nancy, "This non-knowledge is not negative knowledge or the negation of knowledge. It is simply the absence of knowledge, the absence of the very relation of knowledge, whatever its content." Nancy continues, holding the body as that which ascribes everything, starting with itself. I quote him, "The body does not know, but it is not ignorant either. Quite simply, it is elsewhere. It is from elsewhere, another place, another regime, another register, which is not even that of an obscure knowledge," etc. The philosophical objection to what philosophy calls body presupposes the determination of something like an authority of immediate knowledge, a contradiction in terms which inevitably becomes mediated. But what if one could presuppose nothing of the kind? What if the body was simply there, given, abandoned, without presupposition, simply positive, weighed, and weighty? That's Nancy. Ever elsewhere, when it comes to cognitive scanners, the body evades the regimens of knowledge which would claim to grasp it, sectionize, or conceptualize it.